I worked with a Scrum team once who had an interesting problem. So, what was happening was the developers were getting done with their work before the end of the sprint. And so, what they would do is they would just pull more work into the sprint. And while this might sound like a great idea, they're getting ahead on their work, they're getting ahead for the next sprint, it actually caused a lot of problems for us. Over time, it got to where 50% of our sprint was stuff that had been pulled in mid sprint. And that work would wind up just carrying over from sprint to sprint because it wasn't done because it was something we'd pulled in halfway through. So what this would mean for us was at the next sprint planning, when we were deciding what are we going to pull into the sprint, we'd say we had this half done work. It's awkward. We might as well finish that up before we pull in the next thing. And so it made it harder for us to actually adjust course every sprint because we had this half done work, this sunk cost, you might even say. And so it limited our agility, is what it really did. So the team did a couple of things about this. Number one, they started limiting work in progress so that we could finish the work sooner. The other thing that they did was they adopted a team agreement that had all these questions on it that you were supposed to ask before you pulled more work into the sprint. So I'm just going to give you a preview of some of these questions. But if you want to take a look at my website, I've got the full article there. So one of the questions that they asked before they pulled more work into the sprint was, does anyone else on my team need help with what they're doing? Before I pull in more work, I need to ask my team members, does anyone need help? So that was one of the questions they asked. Another question that they asked was, are there any production support requests that require attention? Is there any refinement that needs to be done so that we can be in a better position for the next sprint? Are there any trainings that I could do that would benefit the team? Are there any process improvements that I could look at, right? Slack time is a great time to look at process improvements. How can we do our work better? Is there any work on the product backlog that I can complete to done within this current sprint so it won't roll over to the next sprint? And if the answer to that is no, then maybe I can go home early. If there's no process improvements, if nobody needs help, and I really can't get anything to done before the end of the sprint, there's no refinement, then maybe it's better to go home early and pull in work that I know won't get to done by the end of the sprint because there's a lot of benefits to incremental delivery. And I'm maybe undermining those benefits if I'm pulling in work that I know I can't get to done by the end of the sprint.